All right, here we go. Now, I've always been under the suspicion that the U.S. military has been oddly quiet during this entire Niger African conflict. Now, I've been covering this for a while, and I've been covering the U.S. military for a long time. I've been in the U.S. military. This is the longest they've ever stayed quiet and really stayed out of, I don't want to say drama, but a conflict, not like tip of the spear involved with everything. Now, in this video, we're going to be talking about how the United States military essentially verified, and I don't want to say exposed himself, but you'll see what I mean. The U.S. military does not want to work with the French, wants nothing to do with the French military. Check this out, because we have an interesting timeline coming out of Niger, Africa. We're going to actually look at something from about a week ago where things are starting to line up and how the U.S. military has great intelligence, in my opinion. So real quick, check this out. Here's what's happening right now. So I've covered this already, but we need to talk about this so everything lines up. France calls for the release of French official in Niger. So for those of you who are not aware, at the time of making this video, technically yesterday, now today, there is a French government official whose job it is to be overseas and to represent French culture, to ensure that proper teachings of France are being done in former French colonies, etc. It's a very odd job position, but check this out. So again, the France's foreign minister on Tuesday called for the immediate release of a French official held by security forces in Niger. Okay. It said that an advisor to French nationals in Niger had been arrested by Niger security forces on September 8th. Okay, so this happened on September 8th. We're hearing about this publicly on September 12th. Here's what's interesting, though. This press conference happened back on September 7th. So remember, this guy was captured September 8th. There was a lot of turmoil. There was a lot of chaos going on. Check this out. September 7th, a day before all of this went down. Again, this leaves me to believe that the U.S. military knows something we don't know, and they're like way ahead of the game to the point where they actually evacuated the capital of Niger. So watch this.
Just a few minutes ago, that you want to say, I want to say around July, that was when the non-essential personnel and contractors left. Yet we've been told repeatedly, including this past Tuesday, throughout August by both General Ryder and yourself, that there had been no change to force posture or presence within Niger. Why are you now telling us that forces came out in July and we've been told repeatedly that there have been no changes?
There have been no changes to our force posture. There's been no changes.
August 8th, nothing has changed in terms of our force posture or presence within Niger. Clearly, if you're pulling personnel and contractors, there has been a change that we should have been told about when we were asking.
And I already kind of sifted through this. We should understand what military force posture means before we continue, because this is going to be kind of thrown around out there of, hold on, there's some conflicting information here, because the U.S. military has been adamant about fighting in Niger, and the other only big force there are the French. So are we changing what's called a military posture or force posture? The military disposition, strength, and condition of readiness as it affects its capabilities. So what the Pentagon is saying and the United States is saying, nothing has changed other than the fact that we moved forces. But again, the reason why I'm making this video is to show you, I think the U.S. military knew all along they do not want to work with the French.
Well, I guess maybe I should have been a little bit more clear when some of these changes were being made. But again, it was non-essential personnel and contractors that were, okay, I'm just gonna leave that were leaving Niger. Some folks I know left earlier in I believe in July for medical reasons. So again, we're talking about non-essential personnel and contractors that left Niger at a time when, again, we still have an incredible presence within the country with over 1,100 folks, or about approximately 1,100 folks still there. We're not pulling people out right now. We're just moving U.S. personnel and assets to Air Base 201. So our force posture still remains intact. And, you know, I would just leave it at that.
But if personnel left the country, regardless of whether they were U.S. military or not, they're part of the U.S.
Again, remember, this is in the context of this is a day before the French government official was captured. And when you start to capture government officials and French entities, I mean, that is a means for intervention in conflict. So obviously the U.S. military knew, start pulling people out, non-essentials, start moving people to other air bases. We'll get to that in a second. So again, I just want to show you guys how this timeline, it's interesting how the U.S. military either had the foresight or the intelligence to know, start moving people out immediately, while the French are just staying put.
Presence there.
Sure, but again, it's non-essential personnel. Again, non-essential personnel and contractors, next time I think when there are departures, we will be more cognizant of letting you know. But right now, like whenever we have troops, there are levels that change at a period of time. That does not mean our force posture has changes. Just like on the eastern flank in Europe and in Poland, we have troops that come back and forth, and sometimes that posture could be around 80,000, sometimes it could be around 78,000. That doesn't mean our force posture has changed. There's a movement of folks going back and forth. So I just want to leave it at that, and next time we can be a little bit more specific. But again, nothing in terms of our force posture has changed in Niger.
Okay, now from here, the Pentagon gets harped on even more.
And it says we have troops that come back and forth, and sometimes postures could change.
Well, our posture hasn't changed, but levels could change. Yeah.
Where are they going back and forth? Is it just back and forth from base to base? Where are they going back?
For the folks that left,
They're
like
living-
non-essential personnel or contractors? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, just any number that is there. Are they coming back in the country? Where exactly?
Right now, they're just moving out of the country. I don't have specifics of where they're going. Contractors obviously working under contract would go back to their company, but I just don't have more specifics of where folks are moving.
I'm still lost of the number change. So even if they're personnel,
I think we shouldn't focus so much on the numbers fluctuate.
Again, the reason why there's confusion is because the U.S. military has said, look, there's no threat under us, but we're kicking out the non-essential personnel, but we still have 1,100 troops in Niger. The question is, why did you leave the capital if there's no threat? And how can you say you still have the same posture when you left the capital? Also, again, where the French are standing by, who's supposed to be our big partner in the region.
Fluctuating, but more on the posture itself. Our force posture, hold on one sec, let me just answer. Our force posture within Niger hasn't changed. Yes, we are moving assets and personnel to a different air base further outside of Niamey in Agadez. But in terms of our mission there right now, of course, some things are put on pause right now, but overall, our force posture hasn't changed. We did have some people leave in July. I believe that was before there was the military takeover. So
somebody gave me a $10 donation, Eric Mason. How do the aliens play into this? Funny you say that. A lot of people are saying that the aliens that are popping up in Mexico, and NASA has a brief tomorrow at the time of making this live stream. It's supposed to be a complete facade. It's supposed to be a distraction from all of this. We're going to continue and keep covering Niger, Africa, because it doesn't seem like anybody else is. And again, remember this meeting happened again a day before the French faced another massive loss to losing a government official. Their government official was captured.
Folks did leave in July for medical reasons. I think we had some contractors that had left, but in terms of like where other personnel are going and leaving, I don't have more information for you on that. Our essential personnel are still in the country right now in Niger. That's 1,100 people, and so they're still there, and I'll just leave it at that. I can go back to Lita and then.
Okay, so we have confirmation that we have 1,100 troops in Niger, Africa. There was a question as to how many U.S. troops are there, but again, it's almost a little fishy that the U.S. military decides to leave the day before the French, again, are facing all this turmoil. Like, everything just lines up a little too perfectly for me to believe that, oh, it just happened. Because you have to understand, the U.S. military is thinking way ahead, and they're trying to stay out of this conflict as much as they can. They don't want military intervention. Meanwhile, the French are almost like baiting Niger to be like, oh, you won't do nothing about it. We're not going to leave the embassy. We're not even going to move our troops. So that's why you're getting a lot of riots. That's why you're getting a lot of distractions and violence among the French military. Now, something else that we do need to cover is that now Niger is actually backing away from another ECOWAS country who borders Niger. So this is bad for a lot of people because even though the sanctions are being hit hard on Niger, it's affecting everyone in ECOWAS economically, and a lot of families are suffering. So let's go ahead and check this out real quick, and then we'll wrap this up. How Niger is backing away from Benin. Now, Benin is not the strongest military in the world. In fact, they're rated as one of the worst militaries in the world. I have the number right here. 144 out of 145, absolutely terrible. But the main thing is this. They stand united with ECOWAS, so this is a big blow for Niger.
Niger's junta on Tuesday said it would end a military pact with neighbouring Benin. The junta accuses it of authorising the deployment of troops on its territory for a possible military intervention against Niger by the West African Regional Bloc, ECOWAS. In a statement read on national television, the junta said Benin had decided to consider aggression against Niger instead of supporting it.
The Republic of Benin has authorized the stationing of military personnel, mercenaries and war material with a view to an aggression against our country by France in collaboration with certain ECOWAS countries.
As a result, the new Nigerian authorities decided to renounce the military cooperation agreement with Benin, the statement said. There was no immediate response from Benin. ECOWAS is trying to negotiate with the leaders of the July 26 Niger coup, but it has said that it's ready to use force if diplomatic efforts fail. The bloc has not shared any.
Again, now at the end of the day, I keep saying this, I really do think there's going to be a military intervention. Now, considering the French almost have no other option but to push or try to do something about their government official who's been captured. I mean, the next step from here is the ambassador, like their building either gets taken over or the French military now does some sort of incident within the capital of Niger. Again, that is why I truly believe the U.S. military wants absolutely nothing to do with the French. Pull assets out of the capital, get away from the red zone because the French are in the thick of it. And again, I am proud of the U.S. military for staying silent and doing the right thing. But it's interesting to see this happen. This news comes out today, but when I was looking at the numbers, it didn't make sense that the U.S. military already knew to pull out before all this happened. So the U.S. military does look like they know exactly what they're doing in Niger. They're like 10 steps ahead of everybody else. So right now, even at the time of making this video, we could only assume the U.S. military knows more than we know or something we don't know. So I'm going to keep covering this and, follow this. I don't want to speculate too hard, but I think enough evidence lines up to where the U.S. military absolutely is staying away from the French. You almost don't even hear about U.S. military-French relations in Niger other than working against militant groups. And since that's not happening right now, nobody's fighting militant groups. Just get away from the capital, stay away, do your own thing, move the assets. We don't want another Afghanistan 2.0. So anyway, that's what's happening right now. I'll keep you guys updated. Hopefully we don't see any clashes or violence, but I don't know what the French are going to do. They have to get their government official back, and unfortunately that's probably going to take a use of force. So please, guys, do me a big favor. Thank you for your donations, but also please, if you can, please comment on the posted video. That seems to help out a lot. YouTube can be sketchy about a lot of things, so again, it helps me out a ton. Please go like and comment on the posted video, and I will keep you guys updated. I'm always on this. All right. Love all you guys. Thank you for being here, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Bye.